Hello, beautiful stars. Courtney here with Stars of the Morning Light. Good morning, good day, good evening, whenever you catch this. Hello, salutations, namaste. Um, Normally I am live at this time that you are receiving this message, but my schedule is very wonky. Right now, there was a significant death in the family, so as Lucky Stone and I have been talking about at our 2025 yearly predictions, I kept emphasizing one day at a time for many people. That is what is happening for me right now, folks. So I am pre-recorded right now and released when normally Friday at live at 11 a.m. So my original stance as to messages to put out there in January, we're going to be going back to the basics, just standard stuff. And I wanted to do one about love. And it is wild when we Google now just the definition of love or the different kind of loves. I don't know, the pop psychology of today has added quite a many things that had never been in the category of love before. So we are still going to cover that. But today, I want to do like the precursor to talking about love and healing and all that jazzy good stuff with talking about mm, the why. So I've been receiving a lot of questions lately. And even when I'm like in the Akashic, I seem to, the person will ask a question and the Akashic will say, well, it's because of X, Y, and Z. But can you ask them why? And it's like, man, you're kind of making me look bad when I answer a question with a question. But what I do know is oftentimes when we're asking something, how, how to this, how to that, the actual answer that we're looking for is a part of the why are we asking in the first place. And the patrons of Stars of the Morning Light are going to understand this in much more detail as we are now approaching a new series of All is Energy. So I'm trying to give an example that is not of anyone's personal how-tos into whys. Can't think of one off the top of my head right now, but I'm sure I will as we move along. What I mean by this is I'm going to pull up the levels of consciousness chart again. We've covered this here on YouTube. I cover it with the patrons of Stars of the Morning Light extensively. I cover it in person classes, and there's a free extensive video to everyone at uh, Patreon of Stars of the Morning Light. So, this is not the first time many have seen this. It is my favorite of all of the different levels of consciousness, usually also based off of David Hawkins. The one I will pull up is my favorite. It the way it's laid out, how it's used, all the little parts, it's groovy and great. I'm pulling this up, and then I'm going to be pulling something else up. Because oftentimes the questions that I receive from others is, well, how do I ascend to this? Or how do I get through this? Or how do I get through that? How do I hold my own ground? How do I choose me amongst the chaos? How do I stop doing this? How do I do that? We all understand where I'm headed, right? And it's usually in the why we're doing something that also holds the answer as to how to do something. So let me pull up the levels of consciousness chart real quick. And for those of who are normally here with me live on Friday mornings at 11 Eastern Standard Time, I normally pull a sacred geometry deck card. I'm not doing that with this video. I do have a new camera Look at everything, guys. It's glowing in here. I'm surprised. I was blue. I started being blue again for a little while, and now I seem to be glowing some kind of yellow. So groovy. Because of that, I know my cards are not coming out as clear as I would like them to be. So until I fix that matter, I'm not going to be pulling a sacred geometry card. But I am going to share screen with you. Here we go. So, beloveds, this is, I'm making sure everybody can see correctly. This is the levels of consciousness chart. And behind my head, as I scroll back out, all of this red in here, this is third dimensional life. And we then start moving on up. Everybody bounces in four. Four is that teeter-totter. Oh, I think I'm doing great. I'm having a few good weeks. And then bam, something crashes us down back into fear, anxiety, grief, whatever it may be, anger. We go crashing back down, shame, guilt, what have you, right? And then we go back up to higher levels, acceptance, forgiveness, love. So it's going to be behind my head here for you to see. I'm trying to kind of move it around a bit. So third dimensional, as you can see here, let me see if I can move it. Okay. Move my head. That would work. This red in here, we have death, shame, guilt, grief, fear, desire. Yes, people, desire is low consciousness. That's why I don't really use the term, what's the desire of your heart? Because desire is actually attached to a sense of lack. That's why it's here right next to fear. Desire is at 125 frequency. Craving, disappointing, right? This feeling of, I don't have what I want. And then there's pride into courage, neutrality. Like I said, we have looked at this extensively before. And so you can always go back into any of the playlists. There's probably videos in the extra knowledge and fun stuff category that is a part of the consciousness chart. What I want to kind of look at, I mean, we know 3D, it's what we know. What, as I pull, I'm going to actually show you all these numbers at the very top. It says that all these numbers are energetic frequency. Now, here at Stars of the Morning Light, we know that consciousness is frequency and frequency is consciousness. So the level of consciousness that you obtain, that you're holding, the awareness, the it is, will produce some kind of frequency. Now, how I normally teach it in, especially in-person classes, then I tell people that then the vibration from your internal frequency based on your conscious level is the vibration sent out of your body. Okay? So think of that. Consciousness is frequency, frequency is consciousness. Internal frequency based on your conscious level is then the vibrations that are sent out of the body and that the body feels, right? So, and then your bandwidth, to tell you the truth, if you want to talk about vibrations and whatnot, then your bandwidth is attached to your conscious as well as to how many people, places, and things you can affect in a loving, great way on your conscious level. So once you hit like 600, definitely if you can hit 500 and sustain 500 inner love at 500, add a zero. You can actually affect 5,000 other people with that inner love. Definitely if you are at 600. All of this is about sustainability in here, right? Five, inner love, oneness and joy at 540, presence and peace, 600, presence and peace at 600, add a zero. You can affect more, as in a good, positive way. Same as if we are scrolling back, oh, sorry, back down, and you're looking at fear at 100. So fear is at 100, desire 125, anger 150. What's sad about this, folks, is that let's say you're angry in that day and you have to go to the store for whatever reason. And you go into that store, you at 150 frequency, consciousness, that vibration will also then go out to others and it'll affect 150 other people. When you are in fear at 100 and you're out walking about doing your thing, definitely if you are participating in what I refer to from my teachers as partners in pain, and you just continuously just talk about the tragedies of 3D, partners in pain. It is a pattern and habit of many. Now you're two people spreading it out. So do be aware of that aspect, that we can affect people, places, and things based on our conscious level frequency and the vibrations that then go out. Once again, this has been covered. And if you want to go straight to it, I know it's a free video on the Patreon account. The link is in the description that I went through it pretty extensively there, and it is a free video for everyone. And I don't even think you guys scroll that far to find it. I think I entitled it the I We Won video. So go there, you can find it. Okay. I opened this up talking about those who ask the question, how? Like so many people with that teeter-totter between third and fourth into new humanity consciousness into five. That is five right here, folks, right? So many people bouncing, bouncity bounce back and forth with the fourth dimensional thinking, the ups and downs. And this is your answer in here on how to sustain more so of the compassion of 5D, the oneness and joy, right? The serenity. With your working on neutrality, willingness, acceptance, inner light, and reason. All of this, folks, within here is where we get a lot of those questions. Well, how do I do this? How do I do that? Especially when you have such a big word. I wonder if that'll even, oh, can't blow it up anymore. Zoom in anymore. The big word of trust right here. Well, how do you do that? Well, the answer is to be in neutrality. Yet and still. The point I'm trying to make, hopeful, trust, forgiveness, understanding, all of these, all of these parts of moving up in consciousness, like trust. So let's say someone asks me, well, how can I trust that person? Or how do I trust this? How do I trust that? I will use this as an example. I was in a conversation today with someone, and we were talking about energy, right? All is energy, and she had some profound questions. And my response to her was, because she was also asking, if I know all of this in theory, and I'm paraphrasing here, folks, if I know all of this in theory, then why isn't it so in my life? And I said, okay, well, you know of it in theory. Let me ask a question. And that's when I got to the why, asking her a bunch of questions as to why she can't experience what she knows in theory, why she can't experience what she knows in theory based on blockers that she wasn't even aware she had. So I'm not going to tell you the whole discussion, but here I'll ask you, and I'm asking the patrons in an email later this evening. Let's say we got past all these concepts of theory, as in, um, we know how quantum physics works, we know how all this different science works. We understand these things in theory, that down to its finite energy is neutral. Energy is raw, right? We can manipulate energy how we choose. We also know by observation, by sight, and all these things. We know all these things. I'm not going to go into science to make a point. Let's say, though, humans, us beloved humans, we did understand how to do work with all that stuff. And let's say we could be like the masters that we appreciate, adore, and learn from. Any ascended master that could be on one side of the river and then all of a sudden on another side of the river. A master that could feed 5,000 people with two fish. That is working with energy. Let's say humans can do this. I try to support that and encourage that thought. So I had to ask her, I said, do you think humans should have those abilities? And she just started laughing because what her mind said was a big can't say on TV type thing. It was a no. It was a definite no for her first answer. And I said, well, that is the why you're not able to how, because she is also human, right? And the lovely lady who's probably going to be listening to this, I did share that, and I'll be sharing it with the patrons, like I said. That is the why as to why, how she can't turn what is in theory into experience. Just one of them. So, even in not talking about energy, let's just talk about human relationships. Why is it that we know we should have acceptance, forgiveness, willingness, understanding? We should have all these things within fourth dimensional and higher, fifth dimensional, com practicing compassion for self and others is the gateway in. Sustaining that can lead to oneness, joy, presence, peace, bliss. But even though we know it, that doesn't mean that this here is not difficult for us. Accepting people for who they are and where they're at, accepting their journey for whatever their journey is, not pushing, prodding, giving advice unless it's asked. Maybe you'll drop a kernel here and there. Why is it so hard? Why is it hard to forgive? Why is it hard to look at ourselves within this area? Why is it so hard to trust ourselves? Why is it so hard to forgive ourselves? Accept aspects about ourselves? Why is it hard to hold on to the willingness to be optimistic and hopeful that one day inner wisdom and inner love can be fully present? Why is it so hard? Now, many of you might say, well, because that is in fourth dimensional as you're showing us. Because 3D is going to knock us back down somehow. We're going to have fear and grief and anger. And sometimes it's real hard to get back on track then. Why? Why? So, like I said, in January, I was hoping to cover just the basics again. Love, healing, all that beautiful stuff. But we need to look at what gets in our way, the why, as to why are, sorry. Many ask, how can I achieve that? How can I achieve the inner wisdom, the inner peace? And everybody out there is going to say, meditation, love yourself, heal, all sorts of stuff that is the basics. Let's say you're that person that you've been doing it, but yet it's for some reason you're not sustaining it. Well, let's look at another. It's not a chart, it's a questionnaire, folks. Okay, now I cannot actually blow this up. I was trying to zoom in all over the place, and whatever I have it on, whatever format I have it, I am not able to um zoom in for you. But that's okay. I'm here to read for you. I will read these questions, or some of it. What this says behind me, and this is from Tree Treehouse Recovery, Substance and Addiction Recovery for Men. Oh, Treehouse, wherever you are. Hello. I hope you are well. You can do it, fellas. Good job. But I've seen this checklist all over the place. I just grabbed the first one that popped up. This is the codependency checklist. Just like my friend who was asking about, I know all this stuff in theory, but why am I not experiencing it? About a whole completely unrelated topic. The why still had to do with relational stuff, still had to do with self to self, self to others, and self to the divine. It still had to do with all of the human emotions and complexities and what actually pulls us into 3D. That was the reason why she can't bring something that she knows in theory, and she knows it, trust me, she knows the theories, but why can't she experience it? Bingo. Because we are human, and we live these human lives, and we have these relationships, and we have these thought patterns and behaviors, and we have all these things. And most of them that really pull us back into 3D and that we have to overcome and heal from and work outside of it in those higher consciousness to really work inside of it. It's on this list. This list is actually very long, guys. This is 7 pages of a list. Oh, yeah. On just, hey, you want to see if you identify as a codependent? Many times people don't know what that really means. They have not investigated enough to know. So we're going to go through some of this. I might read some, I might pause, I might give some examples. And this is not to, I can hear all the codependents already out there thinking, oh, geez, this is going to make me feel bad. No, that's actually codependent thinking. This is to help you have the awareness that this is the why that prevents the how to. Um, I believe I read an article in 2016. I think that was the year I read it, and I do not remember the name of the article, but I think I remember reading that something like 93% of all humans walking this beautiful earth, all humans, have some form of codependency to one degree or another. Yeah, that other 7%, my goodness, they are the monks, probably. They are the beautiful monks that, have worked out how to deal with relations. That was a joke, folks. So, this is the why. I'm going to read some of this. You take it into yourself and see how you feel. What this will read like is that it's characteristics of a codependent. So ask yourself as I read, whoa, do I do that? Do I do that? Do I do that? I'll put on my trusty glasses. Oh, I don't need them. Okay, screen's good enough. All right, everybody. So these are some characteristics of codependency. And this is the caretaking codependence. They may think and feel responsible for other people's feelings, thoughts, actions, choices, wants, needs, well-being, lack of well-being, and ultimate destiny. It can get to be that big, that someone's ultimate destiny, a caretaking codependent can feel that is on their shoulders. Caretaking codependents may feel anxiety, pity, guilt when other people have a problem. They may feel compelled, almost forced, to help that person solve the problem, such as offering unwanted advice, giving a rapid fire series of suggestions, or fixing feelings. Codependency, in short form, is fix, manage, and control people, places, and things. That's the definition. Fix, manage, and control people, places, and things. Somewhere, 93% of all humans fit into that category. A caretaking codependent may feel angry when their help is not effective. They anticipate other people's needs. They wonder why others do not do the same for them. They find themselves saying yes when they mean no, doing things they do not really want to be doing more than their fair share of work, and doing things doing things other people can do for themselves. I might need to read that one again. Caretaking codependents may find themselves saying yes when they mean no, doing things they do not really want to be doing. So they are doing a bunch of stuff that they really don't want to be doing. I don't want to be helping this friend move right now. Doing more than their fair share of the work. And doing things other people can do for themselves. Caretaking codependents may not know what they want and need, and if they do, they tell themselves, what they want and need is not important. They try to please others instead of themselves. They find it easier to feel and express anger about injustices done to others rather than injustices done to themselves. I had that big time, folks. I am a recovering codependent. And with codependency, um, you're always kind of working on it because maybe new situations arise. Like in my family, there was a very significant death. My stepfather passed away this past week. So I have this checklist in my head. So if I start creeping into old codependent behaviors and thought patterns, I check myself. And then I do what I need to do because I have now over a decade of doing this to get myself back to where I need to be, which for me is that inner peace and bliss. But for others, ain't this sounding like why it's so hard to take what we know in theory or take what we really want to achieve? Why it's so damn hard to experience? Caretaking codependence may feel safe when giving, feel insecure and guilty when somebody gives to them, feel sad because they spend their whole lives giving to other people and nobody gives to them. They find themselves attracted to needy people. They find needy people attracted to them. They feel bored, empty, and worthless if they do not have a crisis in their lives, a problem to solve, or someone to help. I think y'all know these people. We all know these martyrs. Are you one? It took me years to be okay with being okay. Those of us who come out of traumatic households, our bodies, our physical bodies, because of constantly being in flight mode or fight mode or freeze mode, right? Um, our bodies are not even um comfortable. Our physical, mental, emotional, spiritual body, physical, the meat suit you're literally in, it takes a while of telling yourself it's okay to be okay. It's okay to be okay. Because your body not understanding normalcy, not understanding relaxation, not understanding letting go, can even trick your mind into, let's go find some chaos. Let's go make some chaos. Where's the chaos? Partners in pain. Where's my partner in pain? I gotta call them. I'm sure they got something I can solve. Caretaking codependents abandon their routine to respond to or do something for someone else. They overcommit themselves. They feel hurried and pressured. They believe deep inside other people are somehow responsible for them. I'll get back to that one. And blame others for the spot the codependents are in. This is when you will hear a codependent, a caretaking codependent, pretty much being the victim. They're in victim mode. That they're miserable, but it's actually everybody else's fault. That they are responsible, the other people are responsible. And usually it goes back up to that martyr aspect of because I have to take care of everybody. They're the ones, if they could get their shit together, I would be happy. So when I used to drink many moons ago, Oh my goodness, it's going to be almost 20 years. So when I used to drink, and I was a hardcore drinker for a very long time, um, I used to say I would drink at people, that I would drink at people because I felt this way. If everybody would just get their shit together and live according to what my mind says is right for them, I'd be fine. I wouldn't even have to drink. I was a very angry drunk because of this kind of thought. Blame others for the spot the codependents are in. So even the ones who are thinking that they're doing great and they're taking care of everything, even though they're taking away from others doing it themselves, they also resent all of it and blame them for how miserable they are. Other people. A caretaking codependent, say other people make the codependents feel the way they do. They believe other people are making them crazy. Feel angry, victimized, unappreciated, and used. They find other people become impatient or angry with them for the preceding characteristics. Oh man. So, this is low self-worth codependence might. So, low self-worth codependence come from troubled, repressed, or dysfunctional families. They deny their family was troubled, repressed, or dysfunctional. And they blame themselves for everything. And they pick on themselves for everything, including the way they think, feel, look, act, and behave. These are the people that say sorry a lot for no reason. I now when I hear others say sorry like that. I mean, I still say sorry, but it is actual like, hey, I'm sorry I'm late. It's not this repetitive. When I was a child, I said sorry nonstop for absolutely nothing. And I chose to break myself of that habit, right? When I hear other people say it, I try to just do that little friendly thing of like, you don't have to say that. Nothing happened. You don't need to choose that word, right? You'll hear it though. You'll hear it a lot. Low self-worth codependence pick on themselves for everything, including the way they think, feel, look, act, and behave. They get angry, defensive, self-righteous, and indignant when others blame and characterize, or sorry, sorry, critique the other codependents, something codependents regular do on themselves. Pardon me, I have to get a drink of water. They reject compliments and praise. How many of you can raise your hand to that? Maybe you don't fully reject it, but it's too difficult to take in. They get depressed from a lack of compliments and praise. Hmm, ain't that interesting? They feel different from the rest of the world. Oh, y'all, I definitely had that. This is where it's like, oh, all of them, all of them. I drank at them because I was so very different, right? They think they are not quite good enough. They feel guilty about spending money on themselves or doing unnecessary or fun things for themselves. I will tell you, I still have that issue a bit because I have a very strong work ethic. That's why. Like let's get all the work done before we have fun, even though I know in theory, right, as I'm bringing you back to the beginning, there's always going to be work. So that's kind of a thing that I still have. Not because I don't know how to treat myself. I just really work a lot. Fear rejection. They take things personally. Haven't we seen that? Even a rise in that. Very much so in the past 2 decades. Take things personally. They have been victims of sexual, physical, and emotional abuse, neglect, abandonment, and or alcoholism. They feel like victims, usually because they were. Tell themselves they can't do anything right. They are afraid of making mistakes. Wonder why they have a tough time making decisions. Probably because they're afraid of making mistakes, right? They expect themselves to do everything perfectly. They wonder why they can't get anything done to their satisfaction. They have a lot of quote unquote should in their life. They feel a lot of guilt. They feel ashamed of who they are. They think their lives aren't worth living. They try to help other people with their lives instead. They get artificial feelings of self-worth from helping others. They get strong feelings of low self-worth, embarrassment, failure, etc. from other people's failures and problems. They wish good things would happen to them. They believe good things never will happen to them. They believe they don't deserve good things and happiness, and they wish people would like and love them. They believe other people couldn't possibly like or love them. They try to prove they're good enough for other people, and they settle for being needed. So, beloveds, why can't we hold more compassion for self and others? Hold the willingness, neutrality, acceptance, forgiveness, trust. Why it's hard to sustain that as we're bopping back forth, as having us bop back and forth. And sometimes it's really hard to climb out of 3D again. Repression. Many codependents may push their thoughts and feelings out of their awareness because of fear and guilt. They become afraid to let themselves be who they are, and they appear rigid and controlled. Obsession codependents. So these are the ones that have some obsession going on. They feel terribly anxious about problems and people. They worry about the slightest things. They think and talk a lot about other people. They lose sleep over problems or other people's behaviors. They worry, wonder, wish, and wait. They never find answers. They check on people. They try to catch people in acts of misbehavior. They feel unable to quit talking and thinking and worrying about other people or problems. They abandon their routine because they are so upset about somebody or something. They focus all their energy on other people and problems. They wonder why they never have any energy. They wonder why they cannot get things done. Does this sound like some of the, out of any topic that has been kind of rolling over your mind the first few weeks of January? Man, this has been my New Year's resolution for the past 6 years. Why? How am I not achieving this? This might be some of your answers as to why we're not taking what we know, our logic. Logic and experience are two separate things. And so many humans, definitely even in the spiritual community, they ride a lot on logic. But that's not the whole picture. That's not the whole scope. We have to have the experience in order to receive the full understanding, awareness of something. Controlling codependence may have lived through events and with people that were out of control, causing the codependence sorrow and disappointment. They become afraid to let other people be who they are and allow events to happen naturally. They don't allow events to happen naturally. They do not see or deal with their fears of loss of control. They think they know best how things should turn out and how people should behave. They try to control events and people through helplessness is what they said, guilt, coercion, threats, advice giving, manipulation, or domination. And eventually fail in their efforts or provoke people's anger. They get frustrated and angry. They feel controlled by events and people. So that's the back end of like losing the control of like, they're driving me nuts. So usually codependence, we have a mixture of all sorts of stuff going on. You will have a caretaking codependent who also could have tons of stuff on that list, but also tons of stuff with a low self-esteem codependent. You could have caretaking codependent who is also a controlling codependent. That's what I was. I actually was controlling a lot of things through my caretaking. On top of all this other stuff, because I would have threatened you as well. I would have manipulated. I would have threatened you. I mean, I threatened the life of my high school dean. I mean, I was a very sick young person. Anger, like I had already said, I was drinking my anger and I was saying it was because of all of you, because all of you were an extreme disappointment to me because you're not doing it how it should be done. Did you hear all these words I just said? Disappointment, shoulds, control, anger, right? So you might be a mix of all categories. Once again, why am I not experiencing higher consciousness living? It's not just a theory. We can live it. Denial codependence. Ignore problems or pretend they are not happening. They pretend circumstances are not as bad as they are. Tell themselves things will be better tomorrow. They stay busy so they don't have to think about things. I know many of those. My mother is one of those. She's on these lists too. I know many of those. They get confused. They get depressed or sick. They go to the doctors and get tranquilizers. They become workaholics. That's a little bit of me still. It is. I ain't gonna lie. Maybe because I'm not in denial. I just know myself. These are denial codependents. They spend money compulsively. They overeat. They pretend those things aren't happening either. They watch problems get worse. They believe lies. They lie to themselves. They wonder why they feel like they are going crazy. In just a recent video here at Stars of Morning Light, I was talking about how, in my humble opinion, let's say, we're not really learning lessons. We're making choices. And out of the choices we make, We receive and learn anew, right? It's not really a lesson. And it's because of things like this. Let's say there's a lot of denial codependents out there, and they're doing a lot of this stuff. They are spending money compulsively. Are they learning a lesson that when you spend money compulsively, there's going to be issues with paying the bills and having the funds to pay rent and whatnot? No, they know that. They're not learning a lesson there. They're choosing to do it, but the why, the how is they're spending the money. Then you ask, well, how do I stop this then? How do I stop compulsively spending the money? Well, why are you doing that? Is it because you're a denial codependent who rather not look at stuff, your feelings, your emotions, your experiences, all of it, and you use spending money compulsively to avoid looking at things? A lot of the videos here at Stars of Morning Light do they do coincide with one another. So if you saw that video, this is really what it's all about. It's when we start making the choices that we're not going to live in this list, and we're going to keep making that choice and keep making that choice and keep making that choice. That's the how. Dependency. Many codependents may do not feel happy, content, or peaceful with themselves. Look for happiness outside themselves. Latch on to whoever or whatever they think can provide happiness. They feel terribly threatened by the loss of anything or person they think provides their happiness. They did not feel love and approval from their parents. They do not love themselves. And they believe other people can't or don't love them. And they desperately seek love and approval. They often seek love from people incapable of loving. Y'all know I had that problem before I met someone who loved me for all of this. This was all still in full effect. They often seek people from, sorry, they often seek love from people incapable of loving. They believe other people are never there for them. They equate love with pain. They feel they need people more than they want them. They try to prove they are good enough to be loved. They do not take time to see if other people are good for them. They do not take, oh, sorry. They worry whether other people love or like them. See, I just said sorry, but that's because I stumbled on my words. So sorry for stumbling there. That's what that sorry is. Really understand what I mean when you hear people say sorry. You'll recognize it. And also what I want to say about um the relationship aspect. Desperately seeking love and approval. Often seek love from people incapable of loving. They equate love with pain. They feel they need people more than they want them. Here's the thing. I learned when I really started the journey of true healing, because this is where my true healing was. Working on every single bullet point. The link for this list is in the description. I consciously chose to work on every single bullet point that that I was representing. And one of these things, as it's talking about the relationship aspect here, And I don't think it's listed here. That's why I'm bringing it up. Codependents can stay loyal to a fault. They can stay in relationships with other people that are incapable of loving. They can stay in relationships that are not healthy just on loyalty alone. And that's not so much in this list. That is in other material. And it's because that loyalty is actually backed up by all of these bullet points. They do not take time to see if other people are good for them. They worry whether other people love or like them. They do not take time to figure out if they love or like the other person. They center their lives around other people. They look to relationships to provide all their good feelings. They lose interest in their own lives when they love. This is the people that all of a sudden they get into a new relationship and boop, where'd they go? Where'd Sally go? I don't know where she's been missing for like 4 months. Oh, she started dating someone. Oh, that's what happened to her. We all know these people, male, female, non-binary, it doesn't matter. This is human emotions, thought patterns and behaviors, thought patterns and behaviors that you can change. They do not believe they can take care of themselves. They stay in relationships that do not work. They tolerate abuse to keep people loving them. They feel trapped in relationships. They leave bad relationships and form new ones that do not work either. They wonder if they will ever find love. All right, so that I'm telling y'all, folks, this list goes on and on. We got poor communication codependence. Yeah, coercion, blame, threat, all sorts of stuff. You got lack of trust codependence. We were just on the levels of consciousness chart talking about trust, the big old trust word. Lack of trust codependence. I'm going to read these bullet points. Do not trust themselves. Do not trust their feelings. Do not trust their decisions. Do not trust other people. They try to trust untrustworthy people. They think God has abandoned them. They lose faith and trust in God. And I love you all, but in the woo-woo spiritual community, I hear more of that than not. Trust, self to self. And now you guys understand why I say that all the time. Trust, self to self, self to another human, and self to the divine. That is the trinity of trust. And if you are a lack of trust codependent, it's going to be real hard to do. And we got bullet points here of anger codependence. Oh, punish other people for making codependents angry. Yep, I would have punished y'all. I would have punished all of y'all. You would have felt the wrath. Think people will go away if anger enters the picture. Mm-hmm. Yep. The anger I cannot express to you. You all know me now, 20 years later. You didn't know me then. The amount of anger, right? And then sex problems with some codependents. So there are 7 pages here. Oh, the weak boundaries. Weak boundaries. Let's read, because this is just a few little bullet points. Let's just read this bit. Weak boundaries. Say they will not tolerate certain behaviors from other people. Gradually increase their tolerance until they can tolerate and do things they say they never would. Let others hurt them. Keep letting people hurt them. Wonder why they hurt so badly. Complain, blame, try to control while they continue to stand there. Finally get angry, then become totally intolerable. I used to say when I knew I was doing the action. So here's the thing. I knew I was codependent. I knew for a long time. I mean, the book Codependent No More was literally in my house by the time I was 10, and I was thumbing through it already. I knew I was codependent. But awareness, sure, right? I wasn't experiencing something different. I knew it all in theory. Same as boundaries. When I met my husband, I told him I was a codependent. My words were, I'm a codependent who loves putting up boundaries just so I can cross them. Yeah, those were my legitimate words. I'm a codependent who loves to put up boundaries just so I can cross them. Yeah, folks, where would you be in this list? I'm exposing a lot of who I was. Like I said, I've got 20 years working on this. This is why I can move up the frequency chart. And let's say something new in your life presents, and like right now in my life, even though I've healed this, even though it's there, when different dynamics come into play, a loss of a job, a loss of a loved one, whatever it may be, when life presents like, whoa, this might be unmanageable, the sense of it, right? Unmanageable, loss, fear, all the low ones. As I'm going back to the frequency chart, all this low energy, life is going to present that. 3D in 2025 will still present all of this stuff. You are not free and clear. It's the why are you not able to sustain this frequency when things in 3D will happen? Why is that not happening? And it's really because somewhere you probably have a lot of codependent bullet points. I'm just trying to keep it real with everybody. That is, in my experience, the reason why everybody has not sustained fifth dimensional consciousness and higher. Is because the moment 3D does something, the bullet points that we just went through, they they come rushing back in. They take over. Not inner love, not oneness and joy, not presence and peace. They, the anger, the lack of boundaries, the fix, manage, and control of people, places, and things, because we feel guilt, shame, grief, fear, anger, all of it. We feel unworthy when 3D will present things. Lucky and I were talking about it at our Esoteric Tea on Saturday nights. This year is going to present stuff. And as Lucky said, Lucky Stone AA8, his channel is in the description. Please follow him because we come together on Saturday nights at 8 p.m. This Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to have a lovely guest, Mary Jo, who is a amazing channeler. He says all the time, or he was saying that in 2025, that things are going to happen. And it's how people are going to view it that will make the difference. He will always talk about the perception people will have. But here's the thing, what is controlling the perception? Is it the thought patterns and habits of codependency that is drawing and creating the perception in the person? Or have they really truly healed a lot of their bullet points to sustain the inner light, the reason, the wisdom, the inner love, that when life presents something, because it will, then what do they choose? What will they choose? So that is what I'm coming with you to today. Coming to you too. Jeez. Can I even talk? It's quite late in the night as I'm recording this right now. It's past midnight here. Um, it is a choice, but at least now you have the awareness of where you can start. Why are we not sustaining 5D, 7D? The I am presence is 7, right? The I am presence is 7. Complete awareness, right? Why are we not able to do that? Because of the codependency. And because we are here in relation with others. No man is an island unto himself. And this, because we are in relation with others, all of the relations that we have, work, home, friends, all of it, here on the YouTube, all of it. There's a bunch of check marks to go through. This list is in the description. Please consider checking it out. Consider looking at it and seeing if somewhere you fit within that. And there is ways to heal from that and change those thought patterns and habits. Truly, you can. Definitely, hands down. And it doesn't, sometimes it's drastic things, sometimes it's not. Many times it's gaining the awareness that that is a part of you. And then choosing to not take the same actions and and allowing the thoughts to embrace you, right? We can talk more about that at some other time. I wanted to present this though before I talk about love, which will be next Friday. Real love. Love of the it is. Real love. And I love you all. So have a great Friday, a great weekend. Um, I will be around, folks. It's just I've been doing stuff. So bye everyone. Have a great weekend, guys. Later.